Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 59 of Learning Become podcast. And here we are again. Hey, Deborah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Uh, so today we're going to talk about James Clear's definition on system and goal, which I think is going to be interesting. And the book, if you guys haven't seen it, is about habits. The name is Atomic Habits. And that was a suggestion. So you recommended me the book, and for whatever reason, I've just heard about it in the same week, which was, do you remember where you saw it? Or so
Yes.
how was it? How did you see the book first time?
So I followed this girl. Her name is Tori. I don't remember exactly what is her page called, but I followed this girl and her name is Tori, and I love her page. Like, if you are in the postpartum weight loss journey, she's really awesome. She adds a lot to my life, and I'm sure she does it to most people who follow her in any really weight loss. And what she focuses is mindset, not weight loss. So she's always talking about the mindset of the process of losing weight, and most people wants to do it fast, but you gotta think you're not losing weight to look a certain way, you're losing weight to be healthier. So she always calling people to say focus on the lifestyle, the health lifestyle, and not on the process of just losing weight. And then she was reading that book. So she's always recommending books. The Mountain is You. She's the one who also she just mentioned she haven't read yet, at least not that I know of, but she recommended Atomic Habits, and she was reading, and she mentioned the book a few times, and then in that same week you made a post about having habits. And then I thought, well, that goes really together with what Andre has been talking about, and he might want to, learn more about habits and all that. So I suggested I wanted to buy the book for you as a gift. So that's how I got the idea. It was from this girl, which I really like. Even you're not, in your case, for example, that is not losing weight, is not going through postpartum. I still would tell you follow her, because she has really good stuff about habit, consistency, the process. It's all that, in her mindset and goals and all those things she has. So just for you to have an idea, she had her third kid, and she needed to lose 70 pounds after that pregnancy.
Oh, that's a
And
lot.
and before her daughter turned 1, she was already down to 65. And the cool
Oh,
thing,
that's crazy.
and the good thing is that she did that eating pizza, cookies, having just a normal life. She have the healthy habit of eating vegetables, the right food sources that will give her a healthier life, the right nutrients and all that. But she doesn't hold herself back when it comes to also enjoying food just because she feels like enjoying food. So she always talking about how it's all about trusting the process. It's all about she called imperfect consistency. So you don't need to be consistent perfectly, because that's impossible. But the imperfect consistency, it's where it takes you to the goal. So anyways, I will I've sent her some posts from her to you many times, but she's the one that I follow her, and she's the one who talked about the book and recommended.
I love the definition of imperfect consistency.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I think on the very first time we recorded an episode, I think it was episode 29, I don't know. But we talked about consistency, and on that episode, we came to the conclusion that consistency is not failing, but it's the ability to come back when it happens.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's more like being consistent is not just if you don't give up, you are consistent.
Showing up. Yeah, it keeps showing up. Yeah.
Yes, but I really like the way she defined, because the word consistency, like by definition, will be related to having a pattern, a consistency. But if you say imperfect consistency, it's even better. Like,
yeah,
it's okay to be imperfect, but just be consistent in the imperfection. I mean, don't be always imperfect, but try to do your best to be consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
The way I said reminded me of a funny Brazilian guy who makes like funny videos.
Mm-hmm.
He says some just like some quotes, but he messes it all up. Like if you don't do what you don't do, you know. If you do what you don't know, then he doesn't know what he's saying. So kind of don't know what I'm saying. Just kidding.
Yeah. Anyway,
but I really like it. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that I listened to the book, the book Atomic Habits, and it is life-changing if you are trying to do something.
Yeah.
You just go like, that makes sense. Like, never thought about it. How is that even possible?
Exactly.
And one of the things he talks about throughout the book is the concept of a system.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about a system, I think about a program or something that will be automatically, that will have a system in somehow, and that system will create some sort of consistency. Maybe like a program, a structure. That's what I think about when I think about a system. What do you think about when you hear the word system?
I picture in my head like how do you call that? A spider web.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I always think like how one action will connect to many others, and then that action is going to connect to many others, and then you have a spider web. And there is, in a spider web, usually, I think, I don't understand a lot about spiders, I guess. But if you think about cartoons, though, the spider webs always take to a center, right? Like, at least in cartoons, I don't know if real life is like that, but it's
I think they do.
Yeah, so when I think about system, I think about that, like how it takes you to a center. And for me, that center is the goal. But you have many ways to get to that goal. I think your sister posted something today on WhatsApp that I thought very interesting. It says something like, you don't taking your time doesn't mean you are lost, as long as you have a direction, something like that. You can take your time to go through that process. It doesn't mean that you are lost. It just means that as long as you have a direction and you keep going that direction. So it was something like that. And I thought it was cool because that's very true. And last week when I was hiking, we were going up the mountain, and there was a rattlesnake right in the middle, right? And it was right in the middle of the trail, like Nick almost stepped on it. And we needed to figure out, right, how to keep going. And something that I thought during that moment was when you are going through process in your life, there's always going to be something that is going to try to stop you, or is going to try to push you to go back to the way back, right? And I have I have phobia of snakes. Like, I saw a garden snake that Nick thought was the cutest thing ever, and they are not poison. They are green and tiny, and I freaked out to the point that I cried. So if the snake is dead, I'm not gonna get close. I don't care. If I see videos of snake, I don't watch it because it gives me all types of panicky feelings when I even see on TV. That's how much I'm scared of snakes. So when I saw that snake, for me, what it spoke to me is like, you got to make a decision, right? You got to go through it and put yourself in danger, or you can go around it, right? And I was thinking about life process. You always gonna have those two situations. And the fact that you go around it doesn't make you weak, you're wrong, or that you shouldn't, because I feel like a lot of people feel that way, right? I can take the easy way out. But sometimes you gotta go around those issues, go around those problems, because all they have to add to you is danger and pain. If I went through that snake, it will bite me, and I would have to go back because I would have to go to the emergency room, right? I would feel pain, and I didn't need that pain. So I took the way around that snake, right? And I thought about life. Like, sometimes we are so scared to go around the obstacles that instead of trying to do that, we turn around and go backwards, right? So, and going around those obstacles doesn't mean that you're not learning everything you got to learn, or that you're avoiding pain and danger and situations that doesn't add anything for you to that process. And going around is fine. It's important, it's necessary. It's teaching you to be smart about facing obstacles in different ways, right? So I was thinking about, so when I think about system, I think about a spider web, because you have all these different ways to get to that center of the spider web, right? Which is your goal. And doesn't mean one is better or worse. Sometimes one are gonna be longer, but sometimes gonna be shorter. It really depends on, it's always about never going back, right? It's never quitting. It's always about just keep going. So when I think about system, that's what it comes to my mind.
That's awesome. And when you say about walking around the obstacles, I feel like it's not only that it's okay to do it, but most of the times there are obstacles that we have to go around because it's safer.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like about English, an example that could be maybe representative of this. If you practice English for 1 hour every day, you will learn English, I'd say kind of quickly, probably, because you're dedicating 1 hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
But then you don't have 1 hour, and that's the snake on your way.
Yeah.
And if you just say, I'll have to do 1 hour, you do 1 hour for a week, snake bites you, you stop. But if you do 10 minutes and you just go around the hour doing like 10 minutes, it's better than either going back or saying like, I don't have the time, or trying to push yourself too hard to the point where you break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So those things so I think, like you said, it's all about the like James Clear says, you need to focus on the system and not just the goal. Your goal might be 1 hour a day, but if you don't have an hour, you need to create a system to get to that hour, maybe, you know, and that system might be the 10 minutes every day, you know, going around that problem. And that's the cool thing, is like the system gives you little goals too, right? The system will give you little steps to take. So the little steps is where it takes you to your goal, your big
That's
goal.
so true. Yeah. You mentioned James Clear, so I will share his definition on system and goals. It's a part of a class from the community. So we're about to hit 150 classes. Can you believe it?
That's cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think we
I
had
know how much
143.
hard work you put it towards too.
What was that?
I know how much hard work you put towards these classes, so congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm.
So this is one of them. And the goal here is to create a system. I was just trying to help students to understand how important it is to create this spider web you mentioned. I really like the picture of the spider web around the goal. Because if you don't have it, you won't reach the goal.
Yeah.
And not only that, he explains it better, but if you're focused in the goal, when you reach the goal, you're done. And that's also a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So his definition about system versus goals is, he says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, which means if you have a good goal, it doesn't mean you will reach that goal. But if you have a good system, your life will be aligned with the system. So if your systems are low, your process, your results will be low. But if your system is high, is like have high standard system, you will get good results. And I thought that to be very interesting, because he says that good goals are not enough. If it was, everybody would get all they want.
Sure.
Like if a good goal meant something, he even uses the example of candidates in a job interview. They both want to get the position, but just one will, like same goal. And he explains it even better, saying that your goal is your desired outcome. Your system is the collection of daily habits that will get you there. Yeah, like I think you have to email him and say, like, you should use a metaphor of a spider web for system and goals. Because that's exactly it. Like the goal is the center, the system is all the webs that go around it. And he asks a question that's very interesting about that relates to habits and systems and goals. And he says, think of the ultimate outcome you're hoping to achieve. Is there a path to accomplishing this where you would encounter less resistance? Which is about that, and it relates really well with the snake story you just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So in just like a big picture, that's the idea that he presents in the book, comparing systems and goals. And we can take it from here with his definition and move on.
Yeah.
We get back? All right.
Yeah. And I think it's cool because he also gives some examples, and he says how he used neuroscience to bring more, what is the word? Not a foundation to what he's saying, right? He's not just like saying things. He has a reason why he's saying those things, right?
He uses science.
Yeah, he's science to show how it works and all that. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely a good book to read, and definitely a book that, but here's the thing though. I also read a book that this girl, Tori, she mentioned. I don't know if she ended up recommending or not. She said she was reading that book. But then I was reading, and it's called The 1% Rule. And this guy, he says something that is very interesting. He says, I think he's a life coach, sort of kind of person. And he has been going to all kinds of seminaries about self-help. No, what is it? What do you call? Help. Oh, the word
Self-help.
It's not self-help. Is it self-help? Anyways, these seminaries that talk about,
like when you're trying to help yourself to be better and improve, achieve goals.
So he's been going years and years through all those seminaries and learning and absorbing all this information and all that. And then he was asking himself, why am I not becoming that person? Like, I've been all these seminaries and I still not becoming that person. I'm still not this person who have these health habits and these systems and all that, right? And what stuck to me the most was that he says, because you can't just listen to these things. You gotta practice them. You gotta apply them. So he said in his book, he talks about how you gotta apply, because the little bit changes in habits you have, it's progress. So he talks about the 1% rule, where if you focus just on the goal, like James Clear says, not to focus just on the goal, you lose all those little progress that you do along the way that are the ones who will help you to keep motivated. So he always says, think about the 1%. Look at your progress at 1%, not 100%, but at 1%. But the cool thing is exactly that. Like, we can talk all day about how the book of James Clear is amazing and it's life-changing and it can do all that, but it won't be life-changing and it won't be amazing. It will literally mean nothing if you're not in a place in your life where you want to get what he's telling you and put it to practice, even if it's just to prove him wrong. Like, so it's just like you gotta make that choice, right? And the reason we decided to talk about this today is because when I was, like I told you, I am listening to the book again, and I'm in the beginning, the introduction, where he tells his story and all that, and he gives a little bit of a introduction of what he learned throughout his life and why he went through those processes to learn them, right? And what he said is, what I was thinking is, he's always talking about the system and not focus on the goal, and how it's difficult for people to keep consistent and keep going through the process, because I love how he says, and I mentioned to you, is I love how he says, like, the fact that you start working out today, next day you're not more built up because of it. You're not as stronger the next day. It's just every day showing up is what, and then at some point, there's that turning point where you were not strong and now you're strong, right? And he gives the example of the ice. I think we've mentioned this in another episode, that you can keep looking at the ice and then the temperature is going to go up and up and up, and the ice only starts melting at the 32 degrees, but it was all those one degrees changing that took the ice to start melting, right? So anyway, so if that's not 32 degrees Fahrenheit, people, always Fahrenheit, by the way. Anyways, so wait, is it melting? Yeah, anyways, yeah, that's right. Anyways, with that said, so with that said, when I was reading, when I was listening to it, I was thinking, it's one of the huge things in this process as well. It's not just having the system. It's not just having the goal, but it's trusting all this. Because if you don't see the results in the 1%, the 2%, the 3%, the 4%, you will stop. You will stop. You're like, I don't know if this is working, so I'm quitting it. It's taking too much of me right now, right? And so you gotta trust the process. You gotta keep trusting that you're in the right path, and trusting that if you're not in the perfect path, you will find a better one, and that's what it makes the imperfection, the imperfect consistency, right? Because you're only gonna find this perfect path for you to achieve your goals. And I say perfect in quotes because it's perfect for you. It might not be the perfect for me. If you go through the imperfection of the process, right? So I was just thinking about that, thinking about how you gotta trust that you're in the right way, how you gotta trust that the little steps that you're taking are actually taking you to your goal, and it's a huge thing. It's a hard one to have sometimes, especially if you don't have people to motivate you, or you don't have people around you to show that you are changing, right? That you are going the right direction, So yeah, anyways, that's what I was thinking when I was listening about the trust to having the system and the process that you're creating to reach those goals.
That's awesome. I feel like there is one key point in this trusting aspect of trust in the system, because you only know if it's going to work if you go through that, or if you have somebody that went through and was successful.
Yeah.
So I feel like mentorship, or I don't know, just like some sort of maybe a person that went through that process that could help you, a book you read and you see like stories of people that did something you're trying to, or I don't know, if it's in sports, a good coach could help you. If it's in business, a good mentor in business. If it's in athletics, somebody that will help you. In fitness, somebody that's fit and that knows how to be fit. But having somebody to show you the way will make it easier on the perspective that you will know for sure it's going to work because you've seen the result in somebody else.
Yeah, and I think you make the hard days easier. I think that's key for the hard days, to remind yourself, like, it's not today that those changes are going to come. It's not today that I'm going to be speaking English. It may be tomorrow, it may be the next week. I don't know how long we've been practicing and studying and taking your time and taking those little steps, right? But it will come at some point, right? But in English, though, you gotta take the courage to try when those opportunities come to you. Because in English, I think a lot of people, they have the opportunity and then they worked all this time. They have private classes with the teacher. They do online classes. They study every day. They do all the 15 minutes, everything, like they get everything on paper, right? That you've said it's important for the process of learning English. And then they have an opportunity to open their mouth and use what they learn, and they don't, because they get shy, because they get scared. So for the process of learning English, you gotta also take that extra step, right? The extra step to say, to open your mouth when the opportunity comes to you. No matter if you're gonna say, speak correctly, incorrectly, but you gotta try to show yourself that the hard work you're putting on is working, and that it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to take that opportunity and say, wow, I spoke a perfect English. No, it's wow, I communicate myself with that person, like not correctly, but he understood what I wanted to say, and that's awesome. I remember I had a student who went to China, and when he was having classes with me, and I asked him how the experience was, and besides all the cultural experiences he had, he said, you know what I've learned through this experience is that no matter where you are, you will find a way to communicate. Maybe right or wrong, but you will. And that's the goal. And that's the most important. And he was saying that because at the hotel they were at, the light in his bedroom stopped working and they needed a light. So he was trying to tell the people, the concierge, I think it was called, at the hotel to check because the lights were not working. And then he went to the check-in desk and told them, and they were saying, oh, we got to figure out. And then he was trying to ask where was the energy box, whatever you call, I think is, I don't know even what to call. I know it's something box, but where you have all the switches for the light, right? And he was trying to ask for him for that because maybe the key had fell, right? Whatever you use to express that. I think that's how you say it. Nick would know, but I don't. Yeah. Anyways, so
those little things are complicated.
Yeah, so he was trying to communicate all that, and he was able to. They figured out what they were trying to say to each other, and they switched the key back, and then the energy in the bedroom was back. So yeah, that's the idea, right? You will communicate even though you maybe not speaking the most clear English, but you gotta take those steps. You gotta try.
Yeah, it's part of the web.
Yeah,
practicing and trying. When we understand that I would say like one of the key things is failure. If you want to learn English, when you understand that, it makes the process so much better. You're just like, oh, I failed again. That's nice.
Yeah, I learned something new too.
Yes. Well, just recently, one of my students had an interview in English, and she was like so scared, and then ended up not working. I don't know like why, if it was the English interview. She's a kind of a new student. She started this year. And I told her, that's awesome. Like, even if nothing happens, you're able to show up, to speak to people you've never seen before, to fail if you fail, to succeed if you succeed. And next time you'll be better. And you may not make it next time, but then you have another time. And it might doesn't happen next time, but you have another one, to the point where you can get a better job position in an international company, but it might take you 12 times, like 20, 30, we don't know. But the cool thing is you did one, like it's whatever times you need minus one.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
like those little failures are so important.
Yeah, I remember when I got here, that was huge for me, because like when I got here, I always tell that to my students, and I told that to you, is that the intermediate between beginning and intermediate level is very hard. because it's when your grammar, when you're speaking, go drastically low, because you're already able to just speak, right? The words just come out of your mouth. And that's what you got to do when you're having a conversation. You don't stop to think, to translate, and then to say something. You just got to open your mouth and words do come out. And when you're in the intermediate level, you are able to do that, but you're not fast enough to build the structures properly and grammatically appropriate, let's put it that way, which is not a problem at all. But it's interesting because you get all confused. You're trying to say right, but you're not. And then you like, oh my gosh, my head is just all messed up. And it's so cool because I feel like it's a physical change in your brain. Your brain used to use 2 ways and now it's going straight to 1. So it's literally your brain is confused. It really is. It's truly confused. So usually when you're in that level, you say everything wrong, but you do communicate what you got to communicate because you have the vocabulary, you have the basis. And then you got to keep practicing and practicing. And then you become advanced in that language because you went through that intermediate time, right? Process. And I think it's just amazing, cool. And I went through that process when I came to United States. I had just started really being an intermediate speaker, and being here was even harder because the rhythm, right, is so much faster. Like people speak, you respond, speak, respond, right? There is not that pause to think about it. You just got to say something. So yeah, so I failed so many times, and I was so aware of my failures when I tried to say something. It's like, that doesn't sound very good, but he got it. He understood, right? And there was one time, for example, that when I got to the host family I was living with, there was a Brazilian au pair, and she stayed 2 weeks. She didn't stay 2 weeks. I arrived 2 weeks earlier, so she would train me, right? So show me the routine, show me where to take the kids for their activities and food, and where things were in the house, what were the expectations, and things like that. And she was saying that she left like 2 weeks later. And then the first week, I don't know if it was the first time or the second time, it was in these first 3 days that I was supposed to be all by myself, no help from her. My host mom told me that she was going to meet me at the house to take Breen, the little girl I used to take care, back to school with food because she was going to have a little gathering at school that I'm not sure what it was. I don't remember. I understood that she was going to pick up Breen at school. So it was 11:30, 11:40, 11 something, 10, 20 minutes later. She called me and she's like, did you go pick up Breen at school? And I was like, I thought you were going to do that. And it's like, no, I'm going to pick her up at home because I got to take her back to school. So the poor kid was sitting there by herself waiting for me to pick her up. So I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to go right now. So I went there and picked her up. And the funny part was, like, a 5-year-old would say, you forgot about me. And I was like, no, I didn't forget. I just misunderstood your mom. I didn't understand what she told me. And anyways, I'm so sorry, Breen, and all that. And she was okay with it. But when that happened, my host mom, and she told me those things on the phone also, not in person. So if it was in person, sometimes it would be easier to clarify, but especially in the beginning, I had a really hard time talking on the phone in English with people. So she said, okay, next time I'll make sure to write it down. So the whole year I was there, they would give me verbal instructions, but every morning that I got up, I would have a little piece of paper with the instructions they gave me for me to
That's
see
smart.
exactly what I needed to do, right? So that was a big fail for me, right? I was so nervous that they would be mad at me. I was working for them for only 3 days. I was like, oh my gosh, only 3 days and I'm already screwing this up. And then on top of that, I think in the same week, I went to take the kid to the piano class. And then instead of turning left on the street, I turned right. So I kept going and going, and I couldn't find the address that I was going to. And then I had to call, and then my kid got late to go to piano class. And my host dad said, was giving me instructions on the phone, and I still couldn't find the address. And then he had to drive me in the weekend. He said, let's go drive it. So he drove me and just showed me the way you did. So I turned right, and he's like, no, that's where you got wrong. You got to turn left. So then I learned that I was supposed to turn left, and then I found where I was supposed to go. But that was like all in the same week. Again, failed. And the other au pair was Brazilian, and she had showed me the way. I just completely forgot. But on the phone, he was also giving instructions, and I was also still lost and couldn't find. So that day, that kid also, he lost his class because he was late for it. He never couldn't show up at the end of the day. So anyway, so it will happen, right? Those things will happen. And I was lucky to have people that were understanding, that made changes to accommodate my difficulties. And that's not gonna be a reality every time, for sure. You will find people that doesn't really respect anybody's learning curve, because everybody goes through the learning curve no matter what you're doing. And some people will not respect that learning curve, and you're gonna have to deal with those people, and you're still gonna be learning something from it, right? And maybe I just hope that it just helps you to find a system that will help you not to fail, because that person doesn't take failing well. So you're going to have to find a system that works for you, right? Maybe, for example, your student had an interview. Maybe it was a great opportunity for her to learn what are the types of questions they ask on interviews. So for the next one, she can prepare herself for those questions. She can be more prepared to communicate those ideas, and to use and not memorize them. Okay, that's the thing, is if she tries to memorize, she's screwed. She will forget, she'll be nervous, she will be uncomfortable. It is a stressful time, right? But it's learning how to communicate those things, right? And you can count on memory. Memory is not a good tool for you to count on for most things, right? So you need to learn it. You need to absorb that information. So for her, she knows at least what to expect for the next one, right? Like you said, if you need 12, at least you got one down, and that first one, it's a huge learning point for her to know what are the type of questions she's going to be facing for the next interview, right? And be more prepared. When I was in the United States to leave here, Nick made me cry. He literally made me cry because he was job interviewing me, and he made me cry because I was so nervous about job interviewing. And he asked me all these questions, and I didn't know how to answer them. And not because I didn't know the answer, but because I was doing everything in English. And I was speaking English for already 5 years. And he made me cry, because I got even more nervous about the whole thing. But he said, now sit down and prepare those answers. Think about those things that we just talked about it. And I did. And then the next time he interviewed me, I did great. And I was much more calm, less pressured. And I knew what to respond, because I never even had a job interview in my life before that. And then sure enough, when I got the interview for the first job I ever worked in the United States, and the only one, all those questions that Nick made it for me was there. And I was super comfortable. And did I memorize all those answers? No, because I literally had to use different examples. They weren't the exactly same questions. They were just similar, but it helped me learn that mindset, that process, that process of creating those answers, and that mindset of, okay, this is what they're looking for, right? So it was a great experience, but I had to cry the first time my husband was trying to help me, you know?
I had to cry. That was a good.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, failure will happen, you know, you will fail, but you gotta put yourself out there. It's
Yeah.
super worth it once you do.
And it's related to the process or to the system, because when you have a system, you're not doing something for the result.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're doing it because that's the system.
Yeah.
For example, if your goal is to be healthy, nice, you have a good goal. If you fail on your diet today, tomorrow you're not going to try to double your effort because you failed today and tomorrow you won't eat. It's more like,
Yeah.
okay, I failed yesterday, but tomorrow I'll do the same diet. I'll do it good tomorrow.
Yeah, that's exactly what this girl Tori, she talks about. Like, she used to think that way. She used to think, oh, I ate all the sweets today, so I'm not gonna eat sweets for the next week. That doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Because it's
You
not
know?
consistent.
Yeah, she's like, you gotta give to your body what it's craving. Of course, you gotta balance it, especially in the beginning, because you're already all unbalanced. If you have an unhealthy lifestyle, you gotta balance that out, right? But you gotta listen to your body and know what's craving. So if you're craving sweets, okay, eat sweets. But the next day, make sure to eat more veggies, she says. She's always talking about that. Make sure to eat more veggies. Make sure to drink more water. Make sure to try not to eat sweets, but you still want a sweet. Eat less, but eat it, you know? Eat something that is gonna choose a healthier choice for sweets and therefore. So it's just interesting because that's so true. And when you said that, I thought, well, the same way when you start, like, oh, I want to have a healthy lifestyle, right? And because the first day you do doesn't mean now you have a health lifestyle, right? It is a process of making those steps, and then you reach that goal of the health lifestyle. But the other way is also true. Because you weren't healthy that day doesn't mean you're not healthy. You don't have a healthy style either. So
Yeah.
if you're in that process, in some point, the other way around is also gonna become true. Like, oh, it's Super Bowl game, right? And people eat like crazy on Super Bowl. Does that mean you don't have a health lifestyle because you go nuts on Super Bowl? Absolutely not. It means that you still have a health life. You're still a person who have a health lifestyle, and that day you were unhealthy, and that's completely fine, right? But you're still a person who have a healthy lifestyle. So it's interesting because if you keep showing up and if you keep the imperfect consistency, it doesn't mean you become a person who doesn't speak English. It means that day you didn't study, but you're still a person who is learning English, because every day, every other day, you're still doing it. You're still building that system. You're still building that process to become a person who speaks English, right? So, and I'm a great example of that, because last week I did not study Korean at all because Nick was home, and when he's home, our routine is all over the place. I just don't have an easy time finding the right time for me to do it, because I gotta remove the normal time that I study Korean, which is right before bed, right? And right before bed, I'm spending time with my husband because I don't get to do that very often. So with that said, last week I was not studying Korean at all because it just didn't, I could have find time during my day, yeah, sure, but I didn't want to. I don't feel like studying Korean right now. And because a lot of the time I'm studying Korean the end of my day, right? So I didn't study Korean last week at all. And Duolingo keeps talking to me like, you're not showing up, you need to practice and all that, and then I'm back, and then we're like, okay, let's do this, you're back, kind of thing. So, and that's it, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I stopped learning Korean. It just means I took a break from learning Korean. So it's okay to do that.
Yeah. And it's only okay to do that if you know that you have a long-term goal.
Yeah.
It's not like, because if you don't, you start to freak out. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to learn Korean in 6 months. Then I just lost a week. A week is like 4th of the month. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you stress out. But if you understand that life is based off of long terms, and just if you think long term, you're very likely to succeed at whatever you're trying to do in the future. But if you want to do everything short term, you end up doing nothing long term. It's like,
That's true.
now I'm gonna do this. Next week I'm gonna do that. And then now I'm gonna go to the gym. Now I'm gonna do calisthenics. Now I'm gonna swim. And then now I give up.
Yeah.
I'm unhealthy.
Yeah, I'm never getting there.
Yeah, and just clarify, I'm not saying you shouldn't try different things. I think you should, till you find something you like. Like you with hiking, for example.
Yeah.
It's probably something you're gonna do like for the rest of your life, because it's something you like, and it's a healthy, pleasing experience for you. So,
but I'm also gonna have to make changes on that, because I'm not always gonna live close to a trail. I might live in a place where instead of hiking, I'm gonna have to bike, which not a big fan of, because my butt freaking hurts when I bike. But everybody says it gets better, so I'll believe those who says it gets better, right? Or maybe I'm gonna rollerblade, right? That's you call rollerblade. I think that's how you call, right?
I don't know.
Patins, I think is rollerblade, something like that.
I think you just say skate.
What? No, skate is the other one, no?
The other one is skateboard.
No, I don't think. I think it is roller something. I'll find out. But anyways, maybe that's what I'm gonna pick up instead of bike.
That's a good option. Yeah. But it's like, if you get a chance to hike in the future, you probably travel to do that. Like you live in a city where there is no hiking trails.
Colorado will always be there. My family lives there, so I'll always be going to Colorado for visiting and climbing, hiking 14ers. I did 2 last year. Now this year I want to do at least 1 more.
So, but that's not because you have the goal of going to the Everest mountain, but it's because you like hiking.
Like at all. I every time I do a 14, I question people who actually go to Everest. Like, why do you put yourself through that? Like, I don't know how much that's worth it. So definitely not.
And the thing, I think we can even record another one, maybe exploring more about the system, like the practical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because the system is how you organize your routine in a way to make the habit easier.
Yeah.
For example, I want to read more often. I'll leave my book in the pillow, so when I go to bed, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Like those little, I want to eat more apples, I'm going to leave them at the table instead of in the fridge. Those are 2 examples James Clear uses in the book, by the way.
Yeah.
So it might be a thing for us to kind of expand if you want to We might do
Sounds good.
that. You up for it?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Because I know it's time is up. It's already maybe
That's
an
okay.
hour we've been talking.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I love the topic. I love the idea of doing it on the system. Do you have anything to add up?
No.
Yeah, so just summarizing, focus long term, and like it's okay to fail as long as you keep showing up next day.
Yeah.
Like the
Trust.
imperfect consistency is
Yeah.
a key in the process for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So
you
thank
have
you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know, or any suggestions would also be welcome. Like if
Yeah.
you have anything, any suggestion, that would be cool. And I appreciate it. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Bye.